The Economist.
It's funny that, she never won more than, say, 45% of the vote in Great Britain. In fact, I think she won one election with just 42% of the popular vote. So really a majority of the Brits found her sort of disagreeable. If one week she's doing something really brilliant and great, I might make her look maybe a little bit more like Winston Churchill. And then the following week she's doing something really stupid, and I'll make her look like a 2-year-old child. When I joined The Economist, Margaret Thatcher was just coming onto the scene, too, as a prominent national politician. I was living in the UK at the time, so her and I got very close. And the early drawings I did of her were pretty realistic. They are close pretty much physically to what the person looks like. And then over time, as you become more and more familiar with the face, you can elaborate and stretch and pull the face. And Thatcher's face is kind of curious because she has a long sloping forehead, and she's got a neck that sort of juts out at a 45-degree angle from her body. And her nose, which has got a very sharp point to it, it gives the impression of a sort of an arrowhead. So the thing that many of the caricaturists in England would do is that they would draw her nose quite long and quite sharp, and I would sort of emulate them to a certain degree until one day I was looking at Thatcher close up, and I realized that, in fact, her nose was not very long at all. She kind of had a sort of a fine, small nose. So I started actually drawing her with a much smaller nose. And for me, it worked. And over time, that's the way she appears. The thing that I learned is that you can look at the same face over and over and over again, and it can still surprise you. She was my practice ground. Funny, I found that in many of my cartoons, as I was looking through them of Thatcher over the years, she always seems to be proceeding forward in some capacity because that was the way that she was always perceived. She was a woman on the go. I miss her style of politics. She was honest. She wasn't really a politician in many ways, that she played the sort of games that we're so used to of politicians today. And there's a sort of a freshness to the fact that you know what a person says and they say they're going to do, and they just go on and do it. But I think that it's almost makes a democracy work better if everyone was a little bit more straightforward. Any sort of forthright leader is going to have disagreements from her backbenchers and so on. She was in for a very long time, so I can't remember the exact nature of the disagreement for this cartoon. But I think it's important to note that even when you blow a body way out of distortion, as it is here, where she looks like a virtual humpback, you still have to maintain a thread of authenticity to it so that it still looks like her as a humpback. And so I think the angle of the way her neck comes out of her body still seems to be the important feature here. The caricature did get more and more exaggerated. And I love to see how people change with age. The forehead definitely got bigger. I made a lot more of what I call the turkey neck, the bit that hung down from her chin to her chest, and then I think the slant of her eyes just got more severe over time as the weight of her forehead, I guess, started to launch itself. Well, I can't remember what I was thinking at the time, but I don't think her stomach looks like that. That was clearly a lot of fun. I remember when this cartoon even ran in The Economist, there's a few eyebrows raised even within the building as to whether this might be appropriate or not. I left her pearls on. Don't you think that adds a little bit more fun to the drawing? Yeah.